Coach Pierce, he's a player's coach. He was like, I'm not no idiot. I know who to get the ball to. I got one of the best receivers in the game, and that was Devontae Adams. He's a smart man. He's a smart guy. So, hey, Coach, I ain't gonna make you look stupid.
13-point spread in Miami, early game. Everything's going against the Raiders. We don't care. We're going in, getting the dub. This time it just feels different. What's up, y'all? It's Highlight Hendo, and I'm going to talk about a few key things to know before the Raiders-Dolphins game in Week 11.
I say about 7 receptions for like 137. 2 tugs. I'm going for 2 tugs this week.
Tyreek also said that Pierce has turned the team around. I think that's all the proof we need that this isn't the same Raiders team they had on their calendar at the beginning of the season. Tyreek knows this is not a Josh McDaniels team anymore. He knows this team is going to be tough to beat. This team's got power, passion, physicality. It's going to be a tough football game. I think Patrick Graham's had this one circled on his calendar for a while. What do you think? Are we going to rattle Tua early? Are we going to start off hot? Or is Tua going to come out banging? Or is Aiden O'Connell going to have to play from behind and try and win this game for us? Let me know down in the comment section. I'm excited about this game. This is just a little Easter egg that I thought was interesting. Ronaldo Hill is the Dolphins DB's coach, but he was previously the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, and he was the Broncos DB's coach. On top of that, he's a former player who was a Raider actually in 2005, playing behind Charles Woodson and Nnamdi Asomugha. He was drafted by the Cardinals in 2001, but he left after not being able to reach a long-term deal. He signed a 1-year deal with the Raiders, but the Raiders went 4-12 that year. He had 1 interception. He played in 16 games, started 13 of them, but with the quarterback carousel and the way that team was going, I don't blame him for not wanting to stay around. Once a Raider, always a Raider, right? His birthday was on November 12th, so I'm pretty sure we just gave him a birthday card. He goes on to sign a 3-year deal with the Dolphins, but eventually ends his career playing with the Broncos. Ugh. I bring all this up to say that he sees us. He knows what the Raiders are doing, and he knows what the Raiders are about. It doesn't matter if he didn't have a good experience or somebody did something to him or whatever, but either way, keep in mind, we're talking about the defensive coordinator for the Chargers team that lost to us in overtime of Week 18 in the 2021 season. We also had our head coach fired that year, and the team led by an interim head coach. It's pretty close to the scenario that we have happening this season. To add insult to injury, Pierce was in the league the same time that Ronaldo Hill was, so they definitely played against each other. He knows what kind of boss Antonio Pierce is, and I bet he's seen Antonio Pierce get jumped up from linebacker coach to interim head coach while he's taking that defensive coordinator position and getting demoted down to DB's coach. The Raiders wide receiver room just really needs to wipe the floor with these Dolphins DBs this week. Ronaldo looked a little worried, and I think he might be worried with his playoff chances being on the rocks here. Not only that, shattered by the same team that could have left a sour taste in his mouth back in 05. Oh yeah, and 2021. Maybe he's worried this is a repeat of him getting burnt by the Raiders. He watches that tape, he sees 17-8 going off, he's worried. You can see it on his face when right here he's trying to talk about stacking the box. He knows that we're playing a completely different brand of football than what we put up on tape in the first 8 weeks. We're not even going to be putting up the same type of shit that we put up on tape last week. We have a new recipe and even more time to install schemes and different plays and work together and build chemistry.
Ups those numbers that you just alluded to. You know, we're low on D linemen, so we don't do it as much. You know, the Raiders, Max Crosby, he never comes off the field, and it never affects his effort. So guys can do it.
Vic Fangio didn't sound too confident either. He sounds like he wishes he could have had Max Crosby, and he wishes that his D-line was as physical as the Raiders team is. You guys should really go check this guy out. His name's Barry Cunningham. He's a Dolphins fan and a YouTube content creator. He highlighted some of the Dolphins' weaknesses the Raiders could possibly exploit on Sunday. But not only the Raiders, basically everyone else too. I thought it was pretty serious that he would say that Devon Achan's stats are overblown, because everybody's banking on him coming back. And I know he's got great fantasy numbers because I have him on my fantasy team too. But in all reality, how much can he affect the game if the few touches that he gets, he doesn't get to do anything with them? For example, Barry points out Achan's 55-yard run within the Bills game, but he points out that it came in garbage time, which if you think about it, actually kind of skews the data a little bit. Especially if you look at Achan's carries and you look at Josh Jacobs' carries, you'll see that there's a huge difference there. I bet if you gave Devon Achan the same amount of carries as Josh Jacobs, we have the better running back. Hands down. Better than Raheem Mostert, better than Devon Achan, better than anyone else who's going to go out there and try and run the ball. I just have a slight feeling that these guys are going to try and dink and dunk us for the majority of the game while they're looking for chunk play opportunities, but we just can't give them any. This Raiders team doesn't play the screen game well, but they kind of did against the Jets. Hopefully we can start to read some of their patterns and that their style of play starts to become a little bit more predictable. Barry also pointed out how the Chiefs' Justin Reid explained their strategy for stopping the Dolphins in an interview. So I'm sure that with the NFL being a copycat league, the Raiders might start playing a little bit of Chiefs football against the Dolphins this week. I think the Raiders are just going to try and make the Dolphins look silly for underestimating them. Mike McDaniel is an offensive genius, but at this point in the season, other teams might be able to figure out his tendencies since his scheme is under such an intense microscope. With the bye week, the Dolphins have had more time than us to study and implement a game plan to stop us, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a chance. Like I said, I think Patrick Graham's had this one circled for a while. I'm hoping that our physicality will be able to take over the game and get the Dolphins into some third and long situations. I know we might not be able to get them to 3 and out often, but we have to force Tua into some uncomfortable situations. We have to force him into some bad throws. This game's going to be about takeaways, ball hawking, punch outs, strips, all of that. If there's one thing that we can count on for sure, is that this little fairy tale is over, but not in the way that you think. The Raiders are getting for real, the Raiders are getting serious, and we're really going to take down the Dolphins. But no matter if the Raiders win, lose, or tie, the story is always going to be about the other team. I swear, the Raiders could win the Super Bowl, they could be hoisting the Lombardi, trying to give their victory speech, and the broadcasters would be talking about the other team and how they lost and how they almost made it and how they had such a great season. Follow the other team into their locker room and just get a press conference from the coach about how they lost, and just completely miss and overlook the Raiders hoisting the Lombardi with the confetti falling down on the field, celebrating. That just wouldn't be the story. Nobody would want to highlight that because nobody cares about the Raiders except the 2 million plus fans and counting. I can guarantee you that the Raiders will be disrespected on Sunday, but it's not going to be on the field. To wrap it up, I don't normally agree with any NFL panelists, but Daniel Jeremiah actually has our back this week with the Raiders winning 24-23. My score is just a little off from that. I think the Raiders win 27-24 with a Daniel Carlson game-winning walk-off field goal. We had a ton of them last week, and this week I think Daniel Carlson's going to start the week off with the Raiders winning a big one. We're going to upset Miami, upset the AFC, upset the NFL media, and all the other haters. We'll see how it plays out. All right, y'all. I'm Highlight Hendo, and until the next one, peace out.